I was watching Fight Night on the biggest screen called football.
That was awesome. Actually, it's Bud Crawford. It goes and I go. We don't personally go back together, but when I was at Nebraska, obviously he's kind of the pride of Nebraska, being from Omaha. So it was cool to watch that fight. I always get excited to watch him because I remember being a freshman and watching his fight at Nebraska, not on the big screen, but yeah, no, it was pretty fun. Devin Jackson was there too, and we were obviously he's from Omaha, so just cheering for Bud was awesome. I've seen him a couple times. He would walk through our facilities back in Nebraska a couple times, and he's as professional gets. The way he operates is different. So it was cool to see him go out there and physically and mentally and totally dominate that fight.
Okay, so you guys have 50 newcomers. Dan at Pac-12 Media Day was kind of talking about. He's now starting to hear the veterans echo his messaging from year one to those younger players. What are some of the key things that you've been taking from Dan's messaging and passing that along to these new guys?
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, we have a ton of new guys between freshmen and transfers, and there's a culture that we're trying to implement here that Dan had brought to our team, and and a lot of us older guys, we have a pretty good feel of what that culture should be like. So the guys who come in that are new, who might not understand it yet, we're a pretty good way to, being an older guy, a good way to kind of get that culture implemented with the guys who are new. I've been playing college football for a fair share of time now, so I've played a lot of games and had a lot of snaps, so I have some wisdom that some of the people don't have that haven't been playing as long as I do. So I just try to be the guy that I wish I had when I was younger, I had a lot of older teammates when I was younger come put their arm around me, and I remember how much it affected me. So I just try to be that guy for a lot of the younger guys, and I know a lot of the older guys do the same thing. We have a team full of veterans this year, which that's kind of the best thing for a young guy, to be in a room full of guys who've been around the block and know what to expect. There's a lot to be learned. So yeah, it's just kind of what these older guys, including myself, have kind of done as these new guys have come in.
Evan came in here and said he wanted the defense to be feared this year, the feared unit. You agree with that assessment, and how do you guys get to that point?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, being feared is, it's kind of like we were talking about fighting earlier. Like, the best boxers are feared. The fight is won before they even step in the ring. Either one guy's going to be nervous about the other guy, or that's how it should be with Oregon football. Especially our defense. We're going to come at you, and we're going to come at you hard and physical, and that's just kind of what we want our brand to be. Totally agree with that statement of wanting to be feared, and how to get there. It's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of consistency, and we got to show that we're dominant on the field when we go out there and play, and eventually we will be feared if we're not already.
Casey, Terrence Ferguson was just sitting right here telling us that Bo Nix is one of the best trash talkers on the team. What is your assessment of that statement?
Sure. I'm lucky because I've never been attacked verbally by Bo. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because if he is, that means I'm getting in his head somehow. But Bo's the kind of guy where I just try to keep happy, because if Bo's happy, then a lot of people are happy. So no, he might be. He's pretty sneaky. He knows some stuff that you wouldn't expect him to know. Whether it's
like he does research,
maybe I don't know, who knows, but he comes off as a very proper guy, and sometimes on the field he's not very proper.
Yeah, he said that he has a different way of talking trash.
Yeah,
I'm describing it. Maybe you could describe it.
It's more of like a passive aggressive thing. You might at first think he's kind of complimenting you, but then you breathe, like 3 seconds will go by and you'll be like, wait a minute, that was an insult. It's not going to be your traditional cuss at you and say all that, but it's going to be something that makes you think, and you're, wait a minute, did Bo Nix just say that to me?
Psychological.
And that's if he's going to talk trash, it's psychologically tactical, that's for sure.
You brought up all the new faces. Some of those guys have been here since spring ball. Just how have they come along? What's been are they taking the leadership that you talked about from a lot of the vets you guys have?
Yeah, I think that was kind of those guys who came in spring. I think personally that's probably the most important thing a freshman can do is come early, especially during spring, because it's time for the coaches to get their hands on you before the season. It allows them to learn the playbook and just get used to college football life in general. And those guys have been nothing but sponges, to be honest with you. They're doing great, I mean, especially in our D-line room. You know, we Michael who came in, and Vita who came in the spring, same with Johnny. And, you know, from where they were when they got here to where they are now, it's completely different. And, you know, they might be the same age as some of the guys who came this summer, but they're about up to 1,000 snaps more prepared than the guys who just came in. Not saying that there's a talent jump there, but you know, they've already played in a spring game. They've been in front of fans. They've played in college practices, so they're just more prepared for fall camp, which is you know, a good thing. And I'm not saying that the other guys who came in the summer are not prepared for fall camp. You know, those guys will be fine, but yeah, no, those guys have been great, and you know, they've taken the team culture and they've ran with it too. So you know, that's just kind of the one thing that I've noticed this year. Out of all my years of college football, this team has definitely, you know, taken the culture that we want to implement with Coach Lanning and taken it with pride and kind of ran with it. So I'm just kind of excited to see that come out on the field on Saturdays.
Dan talked a lot about good to great this offseason. How have you seen this team kind of embrace that theme? He called it the theme of the summer.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think last year it's safe to say we had a good year. I mean, that's cool, but we weren't great. You know, our goals were to be in the Pac-12 championship and to be in the playoffs, and you know, we kind of fell short of that, and that just kind of shows, like, you know, a lot of people would be satisfied with going to a bowl game. You know, not saying that the Holiday Bowl wasn't great. It was a great time. It was fun, but you know, we had higher expectations, and our team goals were higher than that. So to us, it was a good year, but it wasn't great. So how do we make that jump to great? You know, that comes with, you know, little details. Looking at things we weren't necessarily the best at and becoming the best at, and you know, just really digging into small things this summer and then into this fall camp to get us to that great, because we had the potential to do it. We have the pieces of the puzzle to be a great team, and I think that's the one thing we all notice is that we have those pieces. So we're just, you know, really focusing on those little details and, you know, trying to figure out that, make that jump to great.
One of those things that Dan's so big on is going to the doctor and listening to the doctor, get the prescription and put it to work. So, you know, this summer for you particularly, what did the doctor tell you?
Yeah, you know, he says all the time, you got to take your medicine. You know, there's little things. You know, the fun thing is, you know, especially with being you know, in college football for so long, and you know, I've been playing under Coach Teote. There's a lot of things that I take a lot of pride in, technique and stuff like that Coach Teote teaches. So it's always fun after a season to look back and see what else you can get better at with him, because you know, he's such a great coach, and you know, he's one of the best technical coaches I think in college football, if not football itself. I really want to focus on pass rushing this year. You know, that goes back to good to great. Did I have a good season last year? Yeah, it was pretty good, but it can be great. So that's just kind of the things I've been looking at, is the small things. You know, it's different than these young guys who have never played the position in college, don't know the technique that well. For me, it's kind of the opposite. I've been playing it for a while, and then how do I have good technique but make it better? You know what I mean, and be fine, because you know, at the end of the day, like, you can't shy away from your technique, because you know, we say it all the time, technique will set you free. So
is there any statistical goal that showcases that you did grow in that area, or how do you kind of assess that? I
mean, at the end of the day, the growth is going to have to be shown during the season. You know, I can work on it as hard as I want in practice, and you know, expertise that in practice I want, but at the end of the day, I got to do it in games. So right now there's no statistical goals, but I mean, just to become better on the field overall.
This has been sold as a year of the quarterback. How has this defense sort of, you know, taken that personally? Is that chalkboard material for you guys? Or?
Yeah, I mean, it's true though. I mean, you see it all the time. I think any football fan notices how many good quarterbacks there are in the Pac-12. For a D lineman, it kind of makes you drool, because you know, getting a sack on one of those guys is something to keep track of. So it's you know, you see it all over, you know, Twitter or whatever, but it's, to us, I mean, we're really not focused on it that much. It's cool to, you know, look at it once in a while and talk about it, but for us, we're just, you know, every game is, you know, we're looking at every game within itself. We're not looking ahead to any other quarterbacks or anything like that.
Obviously, in physical appearance, Evan looks a lot like Bennett, sounds a lot like Bennett, but when you watch Evan play football, what part of Evan do you see?
Yeah, no, when he first got here, Evan, I call him Bennett all the time, and his locker is literally right across from me. It's funny, you know, that you can tell they're brothers, but they you know, it's weird because D linemen, they don't really know. I mean, we play with the back end, but like, we don't see what they do all the time because we're in front of them, obviously, but no, just their demeanors. Both of them were great kids. Bennett's, hopefully having a successful year in the NFL this year, and Evans, already coming and making huge strides, and maybe filling a void that we needed in the back end. So I'm excited to play with him. He's already showed a lot in the spring, and I'm ready to see what he can do in the season.
Thanks, Casey.
Yep.
Thanks, Casey.
Thanks a lot, man.